Mm. In the increased silence during retreat, I've been able to hear some of my thoughts more loudly and clearly. And one thing that I've noticed that's arisen a few times is this thought of, I don't want to help. And when we've been given the mantra, I am a servant of others, hearing this thought loudly in my mind is a bit jarring. So I thought just to share some of my thoughts over the past few weeks working with this unhelpful attitude. Um, I'm not sure what the context was, but at the beginning of Varsa, in which this is a period where monastics don't give each other feedback. We don't point out a job that's been left undone. Can you please go and finish? This is part of your duty. We were asked by Venerable Children to just help and to do the unfinished task, clean it up, finish it up without making a fuss. And this can be interesting to watch the mind as it sees something that's left undone. And it's like, well, do I take responsibility for this or not? And there's one situation I thought to share that I found quite hilarious on various levels. But there's one bathroom here that many of us use. And one day I noticed that the paper towel in the dispenser was out. I don't generally use it because I want to conserve the paper. I just shake my hands and use my shamdab. And then I carry on. So I didn't bat an eye. I'm like, okay, paper's out, no problem. Then the next day I come back in and the kitchen paper towel, like the more expensive one that we use for special purposes, made its way into the bathroom. I'm like, that shouldn't be here, but I'm not taking it out now. It's been in the bathroom. Okay. And then the next day I come back and someone had brought in the actual proper paper towels that are meant to go into the dispenser, but they didn't put it in the dispenser. They put it on the countertop. I'm like, cool, at least you got it. And they were unopened at that point. And then the next day, someone had opened the paper towel dispensers. They hadn't put it in the dispenser. They just opened it and used it. And now some of them were kind of flopping out in different directions because they're all interconnected. I'm like, oh, that's not very helpful. So I used one that was kind of wet already, and I carried on. I did not put it in the dispenser, mind you. I just, left it as it was. That's the level of my mind. And then the next day I come back and someone had actually finally put it into the dispenser. And it was just hilarious to watch these graded levels of like, well, and this will be my mind during the process. Well, it's not my job, but I kind of want a paper towel, so I'll go get something. But I'm not going to put it in there. Maybe I leave it here, the person whose job it is will notice, and then they'll put it in the dispenser. And I've got no idea what's actually going on, but it was quite funny just to see in myself that mind that also says, I don't want to help here. Because really, to go downstairs into the mechanical room, to get the dispensers, to bring it back up, to get the key to unlock it, it would take maybe 5 minutes. Yeah. But there can be bigger things as well that I've noticed in my mind. I'm in the half of retreat where I'm offering service right now. And we're doing 3 sessions, not 5. And on one of the days, I cook lunch in the morning, so I was hoping to do a session, my third session in the afternoon, my second session in the afternoon, and the third one in the evening. But the food offering was coming in, and I was smack bang in the middle of the time of my second session. And the team needed me, and it's been a bit of an ordeal getting the food up here because of the ice rink out the front of Chenrezig Hall. So we've had to go down to Taurus to swap cars, bring it back up, or get sleds and everything. And my mind immediately went like, I don't want to help. I want to be able to do my third session. It's like, well, no, you need to help. And it was joyful to help actually in the end, because on this occasion, Tracy had coordinated with 2 people who had never offered to the Abbey before, but had been connecting with us via distance from a long time. And as we did the food offering prayer, the man started to cry, to be overwhelmed with emotion of just connecting with us in person. And like, this is so meaningful on both sides. Yeah, and to think like, I don't want to help bring up the food that's going to sustain my life. That's going to sustain the community's life. That's something to sit with, to ask myself with seeing this resistance in my mind. Mm. And I've had a few situations in this retreat where I would have liked some help, but it didn't come, or it didn't come um, exactly as I needed it or wanted it. And in those situations, to ask, like, well, why? Because there's a wheel of sharp weapons turning back on me. In one situation, it was in the meditation hall and was time to take down the altar. And my offering buddy wasn't there because there's usually two people who create the offerings. And so usually it's an understanding that someone comes up and helps you take down the altar. I mean, it's not a big job. Doing it one person can take a few minutes longer, no problem. But as I went to take down the altar, no one else came up to help me. It wasn't a big thing, but my mind just went, well, why? It's like, well, because before it's been that I've been there and someone else didn't have, I noticed that their partner wasn't there to help take down the altar. And I said, well, I'm tired. I got something else to do. Someone else can help. And I left. I haven't given help before. I have helped before. And there's times when I haven't helped before where I've walked away because I thought I had something more important to do. And so here I am. And no one's coming to help me. Eventually, Venerable Chini did. Thank you. But it was just very helpful for me to see that, this, I'm experiencing this effect because I created the cause. And it's unpleasant to be in a situation, even as small as that, where you're expecting help and it doesn't come. And so, how have others felt when I have not given help when they were expecting it or wanting it or wishing it from me? And do I want to continue that behavior when I felt how unpleasant it was being on the receiving end, even just a small situation, to feel unseen or to feel not cared for or blah, blah. And then thinking about this, the thought came to mind around how we've been taught that when bodhisattvas hear the words, "Can you help me?" they feel great bliss. They're so excited to hear that their kind mother sentient being wants some help from them. And what it would be like to actually have the mind to respond like that. In certain situations, I'm very happy to help, and in others, not so much. Just I don't enjoy the activity, or I've got other priorities, or various things are going on. I don't have a mind that's always happy to help when I'm asked, or when I'm not asked, but I just see something that needs to be done. And I was trying to pick apart of why. Like there's coming back to contact, feeling, craving. The words, "Can you help me?" There's nothing in there that is inherently going to bring a pleasant feeling or going to bring an unpleasant feeling. Um, and so, why, when I hear "Can you help me?" or I see a situation where it's asking that there's an opportunity to help, do I have an unpleasant feeling or sometimes a positive feeling? And it's not the initial words or the initial sight of something. It's the conceptualization that I have around it. This is inconvenient for me in some way. This will not bring me happiness in some way. It's how I'm thinking about it that then brings the assessment, the judgment around it, that then brings the pleasant or unpleasant feeling, and then the wish to move closer to help or to push away. I don't want. So what am I familiarizing myself with? This comes back to the power of familiarization, I think, in terms of if I really train my mind in the kindness of others and then the wish to repay that kindness. And that was so close to my heart that then when I heard the words, "Can you help me?" It would trigger that wish to repay kindness. And sometimes we have to say no. And if we're sick or we don't have the capacity or don't have the skills, or as a situation was mentioned recently, like if someone is asking for help but they don't actually need it, and it'll be more helpful to help them grow into their own skills by saying no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm looking at myself and seeing a selfish unwillingness to help because I value my own happiness over others. That's the mind that I'm wanting to challenge and transform. Um, Knowing that the mind that says, "I don't want to help," is unhappy. I'm quite miserable when I have that thought, "I don't want to help," with that aversion and that anger, that irritation, that pushing away, pushing others away. It's not happy making. Whereas the mind that wants to help, And even if it has to say, no, I can't in this situation, but is willing, that's a very happy mind. Yeah, so to come back to what His Holiness says about be wisely selfish and help others.